we looked at what was going on with the 58, and it is looking awesome. When the morning started, the bottom of the fenders were terribly lined up, and now they're lined up like awesome. Broke the back. There's a brace support going down them. Took them off, pulled the fender out, did the proper spacing, and now it looks like it should have looked from the manufacturers of the brand new reproduction part. So we thought it was going to be a harder fix than what it was, but came out pretty good. Was able to get both sides done in one day, and now they're on their final sanding, floating out between the doors and the fenders to make sure everything lines up. And then that bad boy will go downstairs to high build primer, which is the last step before paint. Working on finding the center of the axle for the 1958 Chevy Cameo, and that is a process in itself. We figured out dead center of the axle. We have the axle set right here. Now what we are in the middle of doing is putting in the rear forelink for the axle, the suspension. Now, if you want to see how this is done step by step with the system we have used on the 1932 Chevy, look on our YouTube channel. You will see step by step how to put in a traditional forelink. This forelink is specifically designed for a 1955 through 1959 Chevy 3100 series pickup trucks. This is from JW Rod Shop in New Berlin, Wisconsin. They are the ones who really pulled the rabbit out of the hat and built us in 2 weeks an entire complete frame with air ride for our SEMA truck in 2018. Okay, with all of that out of the way, this is as simple as it gets. This is for a 55, 59 truck, like I said. They've already done all the measuring for height. They have it cut out. This system goes on the outside of the axle. I'm going to come over there. We have the center of our axle. We set up our forelink. So we're going to have exactly 1 inch of travel in, 1 inch of travel out for adjustment. We're in the center of that. That gave us the dead center of where this goes. And literally, you just put it up to the frame, and you're good to go. Now, before you weld this home, everything just tack it. 3/4 tacks on each piece, so you know you're exactly where you need to be. Don't weld it home, because if you make a mistake, you gotta cut all of those welds, and it's a pain in the ass. This one needs a little bit more. Take and bevel at a 45 degree everywhere you're gonna be welding. Cut away about half of that material. So when you're welding it back onto the frame, you're plenty hot, so you get a good bond. So all of this, grind away about half at a 45. So when you lay in your bead, you're melting half of what's here with what's here, and the other half is actually going to be new material from the welding wire. That's going to give you the great bond. So your rear axle, the front engine is at 3 degrees this way. The rear, you want at 3 degrees the other way. So when it lines up, you're golden. So 3 and 3. Your shock mount, this is set up for exactly 2 inches out. We'll put this on 2 inches out, tack it onto the axle, put our forelinks on. It's literally as simple as that. You still have plenty of adjustability for your shocks. This will hook up to an air shock, or it'll hook up to a coilover like what we're going to be using. But This is as simple as it gets. The other video shows you a traditional 4-link. There's a lot of measuring, making sure you're level, making sure they've done all of that for you with this. Again, JR Rod Shop, New Berlin, Wisconsin. That's where this 4-link came from. That's where the Ford 9-inch rear came from. Great guys to work with. Call, ask for Eric. We are not getting paid for any of this. I just like promoting companies that are good to us. So when you're out there looking, they can be good to you also, hopefully. We're going to start tacking this on. We'll come back, show you the tacks, show you how we have it all lined up. We should be good to go. We took and we meticulously, I mean meticulously, measured. Each side we measured 5-6 times just to make sure. And Jeff, if you can point out where we just tacked stuff.
Okay, we've got the front we had tacked on already. We tacked on a few points on the back piece here. Making sure our spacing was even so that they weren't binding here, and the critical measurement was our axle width, and we're 9 3/4 spot on both sides. So
perfect. Something to always remember: if the distance in the front is different than the distance in the back, it's just going to push the axle one way or the other. It's going to bind, it's going to push. So no matter what you do, if you set this thing up and you have one side off, it's going to push it the opposite direction. Even though you have it perfect right now, as soon as it's up and under the truck, it's not going to be centered. So measure, tack, weld. In fact, this side, we had it all done and we were off 1/8 of an inch because the axle had moved on us. So measure, just like this one, 2 tacks. That one was 2 tacks to start with, now it's 4. He's going to tack 2 more places on this, and then it can go over to the bench and be welded up, sent home in full. So this system from JW Rod Shop is pretty slick. It is specifically for the 1955 through 57 Chevy pickup trucks. So gives you a ride height that's adjustable, works out good. Bars are in left and right side. We have to put in the panhard bar, which is right there, next, and we're good to go. Everything has been done and tacked on the frame, and now Jeff's welding her home. You want to keep moving around so you don't warp anything. If you remember, when it came off the truck in the crate, I was extremely excited about the cab itself. And that excitement was well deserved. Now I do want to give you an update though. These cabs are made by Premier Street Rods Manufacturing, Parts and Manufacturing. I ordered it through Tucker's Classic Auto Parts. Tucker's have always taken care of me. And when they manufacture this, you got to remember, they have the cab corners, they have all the little pieces that we buy in to fix rust, and they put this thing together. If you are building a nice driver, it's still going to take some work on their body work to make these what you're going to want. If you're going to make it a show truck, it's going to take quite a bit of work. Now, what's quite a bit of work? It's still a lot less work than if you're repairing rust. But when you want the body lines, which their gaps were pretty doggone good, but when you want the body lines to be flat from door to the cab and from the front fenders to the doors, you're going to do your typical floats to make sure that they're lined up. That takes time. The cab corners where they welded them on, we did have to rework those a little bit, not much, but again, to make it legendary, it takes time, it takes energy. Now, this is behind the box. Nobody's ever gonna see that, but it's the right thing to do, is to rework what they did. So, if you're gonna pull these off out of the crate, which they were crated superbly, the delivery time was a little slower because of COVID. No complaints there whatsoever. But when you're pulling them out of the box, they're not paint ready, and nor do they advertise them as paint ready. The only true thing that I would hope that they will change in the future, we upgraded the door latches. We went with the aftermarket bear claw. So this upgrade was $300, $400, I can't remember. And I wish they wouldn't have painted them. They should have a set of these at the shop that are used, painted, whatever, and then when they ship the cabs out, they should take the used painted ones off and throw on brand new. Now, they're only gonna need 4 or 5 sets of these in the shop that are painted, and then throw on the news to ship them out. It's not a big expense for them, but when you pay for the upgrades, and one of the things that I dislike the most when you're doing restorations is when you have the receiver in the door jambs, and I see shop after shop after shop paint them. Yes, you only see it when the door's open, but the paint chips off every time. So these are painted. The only way to fix it is to put in new. Today I requested them to get me some new ones. If they take care of us, I'll tell you. If they don't take care of us, I'll buy new. Either way, it's getting changed out on this truck because it's the right way to do it. But out of everything that's here, that's the only thing that is unexpected. But the doors are perfect. The cab corners, body's perfect. The roof was awesome. Had to do some fitting here to the front fenders. Nothing out of the ordinary. One thing that we did have to do, we're dropping an LS3 in here from Blueprint Engines. We did have to adjust the firewall to fit for the clearance of the Holly Chevy covers that we're going to be putting over to cover all of the coils on the left and the right side to help give it a little bit more of an old school look. But that is the only alteration that we had to make. Otherwise it's going to drop straight in. Long and short, this cab is wonderful. I do appreciate their quality of workmanship. Tuckers, they really took care of us. But this is ready to go downstairs and to put it all in epoxy. Wait an hour for it to cure out before the top coat of high build primer. And we're in the final sanding on this for the final paint job. Really, really close. It's coming along great. Joe, appreciate you out there doing what you do for the country. We're having fun building your dream truck. It truly will be legendary. Keep watching. Hit the like button below. Follow us on Facebook. Subscribe to our YouTube channel if you like what you see. And of course, comment. Hit the like button. When you do that, it actually helps us out quite a bit. Appreciate y'all. Keep watching.